array in a village with the village elders having a debate. You'd find that first point of unity, common ground. In a month, you'd have them fighting for you. And I understand that, but you're not a Green Beret. You fight for a different army.
This is a guy who lives in my neighborhood, who's a professor of English in Chicago, who I know and who I have not received some official endorsement from. He's not somebody who I exchange ideas from on a regular basis.
What is your view of Barack Obama then?
I've always had the same view of Barack Obama as long as I've known him. I've known him for a long, long time. Barack Obama, as he said of himself in the 2008 campaign, and as he said, as he's defined himself all through his political life, he says of himself, I'm a moderate, middle-of-the-road, pragmatic, compromising politician. That's who he said he is. That's who he is. The right wing looked at him and said, no, he's not that. What he is instead is a secret Muslim who pals around with terrorists and has socialist ideas. I have yet to see a socialist idea come out of Barack Obama.
Are you kidding? He's talking about free community college and open borders?
Put simply, what I'd like to do is to see the first 2 years of community college free for everybody who's willing to work for it. Last week, I sent a letter to Congress asking them to increase penalties on smugglers and to give us flexibility to move migrants through the system faster.
What do you think about Obama wanting a domestic security force just as big and just as strong as our military and having youth brigades chanting his name?
I didn't know he was doing that.
We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded.
Yes, we can. I am change. And this is what I wear.
I knew Barack Obama about as well as thousands and thousands of other people. It's not that we weren't intimate friends. We never shared a milkshake with two straws, never.
All right, well, nobody ever said you did that. You'd have to be cuddling to be doing that.
Close friends, I was not.
You never dated Barack Obama?
I never dated him, right.
Okay.
Toward the end of 1968, I had really decided that I was committed to being a part of what I thought was going to be a really serious and ongoing rebellion, upheaval that had the potential of not just ending the war, but of really overthrowing the capitalist system.
Who funds you? Because I've read you're connected to the Ford Foundation, Carnegie, and others. Have you ever got any funding from those guys?
Never, and I don't even know what that means. Who funds me? I'm a retired professor. I live modestly like other retired professors. I'm not sure what you mean.
You're saying there's not a CIA program back to the 50s to fund liberation theology that I know you're fully aware of at university campuses?
I hear your paranoia eking through, but I don't know what you're talking about. Liberation theology has nothing to do with campuses. It's a movement within the Catholic Church. Is it a left-wing movement in the Catholic Church? Yes, it is. Does it come out of Brazil? It does. Does Pope Francis, to some extent, is he some extent influenced by that? Apparently he is.
Oh, boy.
That has to do with me.
I see nothing.
Are you excited about Pope Francis and his liberation theology?
It's hard for me to get excited about a pope. I know that for those of you who are Catholic, he's infallible, so I guess the Catholics must be excited about him. I think that when he says, who am I to judge, and when he opens himself to the possibility of greater freedom for women, I think those are good things.
And, of course, carbon taxes for George Soros, though.
I'm not sure what that means, Alex. I mean, I know you've got a big paranoid background that's somewhere bubbling up, but I don't understand.
I thought you don't know who I am. Hold on a minute. A big paranoid background. Mao killed 84 million people, according to the Chinese government. The CIA says 60 million. Are you saying that I shouldn't be worried about communism?
I didn't say that at all. You said something about George Soros. I don't know anything about George Soros.
All right, let me ask you this.
I don't know what you're drawing on. So
you know nothing about George Soros.
And we have a big problem. Global warming requires big investment, and that could be the motor of the world economy.
You've got these great theories, but I don't know, we're not talking the same language.
I see nothing. I know nothing.
Well, exactly. You're speaking academia speech where you're this nice, mild-mannered guy, and you're there with your significant other, Bernadine Dorn. I guess you guys were never involved in any bombings or anything, right?
No, that's not true. We were involved in trying to stop the murder of 6,000 people a week by our government that dragged on for 10 years. I was involved in nonviolent sit-ins. I was involved in all kinds of tactics that were legal. And eventually we did turn to what I would call extreme vandalism. We destroyed property to raise a screaming opposition to the murder of 6,000 people.
You didn't bomb police officers or blind police officers?
Not at all. Nothing like that ever happened. I know it's part of the narrative of the right, but it's just not true.
Really? So Weatherman bombs never wounded police?
I'm sorry?
Weatherman bombs never wounded police?
Never.
Because you know what I'm going to do with all this. We're going to take this live interview and then take clips of what you're saying and then show them throughout. That's the whole point.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The FBI said the Weather Underground organization, which took credit for the bombing, is the same radical group which was responsible for the bombing of the U.S. Capitol in 1971 and the Pentagon in 1972.
That we'll fight the internal army, which is the police force. Yes, more physical contact if that's necessary. Whatever it takes, we'll do, by any means possible.
There's no way to be committed to nonviolence in the middle of the most violent society that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
I don't want to waste our time here with a he said, she said. I go to your website, BillAyers.org, and there's a red star on a black background up there. It looks pretty Maoist to me. You say you didn't like Mao. Was Larry Grathwold wrong that you guys followed a Maoist cultural revolution style system at the Weatherman?
Yeah, he was wrong and he was lying. But the red star on the black background is also the signet for Heineken beer and Macy's. So be careful what you worry about. But here's the thing.
Oh, come on, man. You're a famous commie. Fred, just admit it. You love Lenin.
There are other communists who don't show their real faces, who work more silently.
First of all, I'm not famous. Secondly, I don't know what you meant when you said Bill Ayers supporters call in. We haven't had one substantive exchange, you and me. So I don't know what one would think to be a supporter. You mean if somebody has read one of my books and has something to say about it? We haven't talked about anything substantive.
Okay, well, you're setting and defining things like MSNBC saying, parents, your kids don't belong to you. Let me ask you this question. Do you support abortion?
Wait, when did I say that? When did I say parents don't belong to their kids?
I said MSNBC said that.
No, they did not. What are you talking about?
They said we need to break through this view that, kids belong to their parents and that they actually belong to the wider community.
I'm so bewildered about what you're talking about.
So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
Here's where I stand, Professor Ayers. I don't know if you've read None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen. I read that book back when I was like 14 years old. Since then, pretty much all of it has been proven to be accurate from my perspective, where ultra-rich crony capitalists fund socialist and communist movements, but also fascist movements, because they like to deal with command and control systems with domesticated populations. And I think that history's shown that collectivism delivers hell on earth and forced work camps. Now, that's why I disagree with you fundamentally. And I guess you believe that we have a real form of capitalism and you disagree with that. I don't believe we have capitalism. I believe we have fascism sitting on top of a socialist management system, and that the left-right paradigm that's taught is a fraud. What do you say?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never heard of that, but that's fascinating. I don't know what are you referring to? Never have been. I don't know what you're referring to. Who are you talking about? And I don't even know what that means.
Oh boy. Well, that's the hardcore commie trying to charm us, and I don't know this, I don't know that. And for radio listeners, we show the cops he bombed, that he blinded and hurt, or the Weatherman quote did, that he led. And we show the documentation, the big government foundations funding him directly with mainstream news articles. So that's really a TV piece, so I'm just adding some of that for the radio listeners to understand that the guy is an absolutely deceptive creature, as if you need me to tell you that. But Brian Williams said that he was shot down in a helicopter by an RPG. Turns out it was an hour or more till they flew into an area where a helicopter had been shot down. The military started going public. And I got a bunch of these clips of him at baseball games, at Rangers games, first saying it, of course, on Letterman, and now he's recanted. Let's go back and play this liar on Letterman.
We were north of the invasion. We were the northernmost Americans in Iraq. We were going to drop some bridge portions across the Euphrates so the 3rd Infantry could cross on them. 2 of our 4 helicopters were hit by ground fire, including the one I was in.
No kidding.
RPG and AK-47.
What altitude were you hit at?
We were only at 100 feet doing 100 forward knots because we had these massive pieces of bridge beneath us on slings.
What happens the minute everybody realizes you've been hit?
We figure out how to land safely, and we did. We landed very quickly and hard, and we put down, and we were stuck. 4 birds in the middle of the desert, and we were north out ahead of the other Americans.
He goes on embellishing the lie. I mean, this is a book he's trying to write here of baloney. Now let's go to him being forced to recant. Then we'll go to the Hillary clip, a flashback a few years ago to her saying she was basically in a C-130 that got shot down. That was total bull as well from a pack of liars. Let's go to him recanting.
On this broadcast last week, in an effort to honor and thank a veteran who protected me and so many others after a ground fire incident in the desert during the Iraq War invasion, I made a mistake in recalling the events of 12 years ago. It did not take long to hear from some brave men and women in the air crews who were also in that desert. I want to apologize. I said I was traveling in an aircraft that was hit by RPG fire. I was instead in a following aircraft. We all landed after the ground fire incident and spent 2 harrowing nights in a sandstorm in the Iraq desert. This was a bungled attempt by me to thank one special veteran and by extension, our brave military men and women.
See, our brave military men and women. I'm thanking a veteran. I'm not bad. Doesn't matter I showed up an hour and a half later. It doesn't matter I totally lied in dozens of interviews and at Rangers games and on TV with all this stuff. You're back lying again to cover up the last lie. Hey, let us have world government or you're against the vets. Hey, turn in your guns or you're against black people, you know, or be for Obamacare. I mean, it's the same garbage. Old lies for new. Now let's play a clip of Hillary, another hero, another commando. Like Private Lynch, we should put women in frontline combat. Put a 75-pound pack on Hillary. Let me tell you. Let's go to that clip.
I remember landing under sniper fire.
In the speech last week, Senator Clinton was referring to her visit to Tuzla, Bosnia in 1996 as First Lady. The brutal war was over, but hostilities continued. And though the trip was exactly 12 years ago tomorrow, the memories seemed etched in Clinton's mind.
There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base.
Problem is, that's not what happened. And we should know, CBS News accompanied the First Lady and daughter Chelsea on that Bosnia trip. That's Senator Clinton talking to me on the military flight into Tuzla. And these are the pictures we recorded of the greeting ceremony when the plane landed. Compare that to Senator Clinton's account.
I remember landing under sniper fire. There was no greeting ceremony.
Okay.
And we
there
basically
she is,
were told to run to our
nothing happened.
cars.
She told another lie about, oh, we were in the air when it got shot up. I mean, they're a pack of lying criminals. Okay, and these are the people that want you to take vaccines. And they tell you the Federal Reserve's federal. It's not. It's a foreign-owned bank, okay? This is a criminal cabal. They are the enemy of America. Now, choose sides, people. Choose sides, okay? They want to enslave you.
GCN.
They want to bankrupt you.
Visit GCNlive.com.
They want to rule
today.
you. They want to rape you.
The average person's life is filled with unexpected challenges. Unlock the energy it takes to defeat these daily beasts with Super Male or Super Female Vitality, specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper hormone balance to create superior vitality in males and females. Supercharge and conquer your world at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put 2 and 2 together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.